Hi, my name is Gerhard Gschwandtner, and welcome to the Sales Up Shop. We are broadcasting from Fredericksburg, Virginia.
I'm Anthony Iannarino. I'm in Columbus, Ohio.
Eric Loers, Butler, New Jersey.
Jeff Ogden, Bethpage, New York.
Why don't we start out with how ideally a company should manage leads? And maybe, Jeff, enlighten us, how does marketing contribute to that pie?
Well, I think marketing does need to contribute more and more to the pie, because with the balance of power shifting from sellers to buyers and buyers being firmly in control, marketing is the only one that can do kind of the one-to-many, to reach out, build trust, and engage those buyers with content, etc., and hand over qualified sales opportunities to sales. So I think marketing plays a huge role today.
So, Anthony, let's go to the next branch, and that's lead nurturing. How companies nurture leads? What will be the ideal process?
The ideal process would be for marketing to put good lead nurturing tools in the hands of the sales force. And the mistake that I see being made in a lot of cases is that marketing wants to keep everything behind the wall. They want somebody to go to a page, they want to enter a first name, a last name, the email address, and then they want to try to nurture those leads themselves by sending them content. But what I think is more effective for salespeople, especially in this day and age where salespeople now have to wear a marketer's hat as well, is to give them some tools. Because if somebody sends me a white paper or a web sign-up form, it doesn't mean anything to me. It's marketing. I delete it. It's spam. But if a salesperson sends it to me and says, Anthony, I know you're dealing with this particular challenge, and the last time we talked, you told me you were struggling with this. Well, this information will help you how to think about that, whether you ever use me or not. Then that's nurturing my relationship. And if they know where I am in the buying process and they can give me content that helps me think about that, then that's truly nurturing the leads. I think that's a critical component.
So, Eric, why is it that so many companies create lead nurturing systems that are really one-way streets?
Well, it's because most companies don't even know what lead nurturing is. We've gotten to the age where I call it data dump. People just think that if I continually assault you with information, at some point in time, you'll just say, like, uncle, and buy something, And really what's missing is an understanding of what's meaningful to the prospects. If you can put your messages to their outcomes, you're going to get a lot more opens, a lot more reads, a lot more video watches, all that stuff.
Jeff, how do we orchestrate that? What Anthony said, that salespeople should get in on this. Where's the dividing line between sales and marketing?
Yeah, I think Anthony's right. Salespeople need good content too, because I think one mistake so many companies do is I use the analogy of going into battle with a pocket knife. Those salespeople are supposed to go out there and sell, and they don't have content. They need to have good content to share. David Meerman Scott once famously said, "Nobody cares about your products and services except you." And that's absolutely true. No one cares. Everyone cares about themselves or sees themselves and say, what can you do for me? And unless you understand that, salespeople can't talk to them, marketing can't talk to them, and lead gen can't talk to them.
So, Jeff, let me cut in. What I'm by is that when you get nurtured by some companies, and you have only two options. One, delete that email, or unsubscribe. Why isn't there a mechanism where I can say, go a little bit to the right and send me something about that? They don't give me choices on how I want to be nurtured.
I think more and more there's a demand on companies to start doing that, of developing preference centers and giving people the option to go there and customize how they're being nurtured.
Anthony, what is the process that you're describing, and you blog a lot about that subject, to customize your message to the target audience?
I don't think there's any substitute for having a conversation with the client. And it's interesting what Jeff and Eric said. What I see in some cases, this channel back doesn't exist when it comes from marketing. And what I'm afraid that we're doing with some of the new tools is just simply counting. And so we're going, oh, they clicked this link, that means they're interested. And it doesn't necessarily mean they're interested. It means they clicked the link. and we're measuring time on site. So we're saying, hey, they spent time here, so they're interested in this. It doesn't mean they're interested in this. It means that somebody called while they were on site, on your site, and they stayed on the page while they had the phone conversation. We're counting because we can count. And I think eventually we're going to have better data. But there's nothing that substitutes for a salesperson actually calling their prospective client and having a conversation and knowing something. And then when you're using the lead nurturing tools, you're sending the client something that can help them on their buying path, their journey, because you have insight. And I think right now counting is a good substitute for insight from a marketing perspective because it's all we've got. But I think as we couple that with real intel from salespeople, I think of like secret agents. They're out working in the field. They're collecting this data. They're informing the system with that data. We can do a better job of tailoring the message because we know something.
How do I get to the social intelligence? How do I get to the business intelligence? How do you teach salespeople to tap into the right learning sources so they have the right conversation?
Well, I mean, you've got social and biz intel on this mind map that you made. And I think that that's right. Right now, this is probably the easiest time ever in the history of the world in sales to capture that intelligence. There are a group of people who are using the tools effectively, and I think there's still a big group of salespeople ignoring the tools. And they say, I don't want to be in social. I don't want to have to update my LinkedIn page. But that's where we really belong if we want to capture this and get more insight.
What is the best practice, Jeff, that you have seen where companies are really great in filtering out the leads so salespeople get only the Glengarry leads?
Well, it's a good question. One thing I always say is go talk to the salesperson, it's the salespeople, and ask them a very simple question. How would I know that if I gave you a lead, you would be absolutely certain you would follow up on it, that it's a great opportunity? What do those leads look like? So the scoring information comes from sales. They're the ones out there working the deal. So you got to talk to salespeople.
So you allow salespeople to reject the lead?
Absolutely, yes.
And you would also compensate marketing for sending good leads?
A great idea, yes.
Eric, what's your recommendation when you teach classes? You tell people, here's a hard and fast rule how to qualify leads so that you're pursuing only high probability opportunities.
Well, it's an interesting question. There's a missing component from most qualifications is what are my qualifications of the person I want to deal with? Not just are they qualified to come into my funnel, but do I want them? Are they the kind of person I want to deal with? Because if I know the kind of person that I deal best with, I know that I'm going to create more sales. I'm going to do it faster. I'm going to have a better time. I'm probably going to upsell a lot more. I'm going to have a longer relationship with these people. All the additional sales are going to be easier. Everything's going to be the way I want it. And nobody ever asks it, like, is this the way you want it? They just say, oh, they match these 5 criteria, boom, go forward. So I think the missing piece is my side, not just the prospect to me, but me to the prospect.
Anthony, what's your take on that?
We take leads as we find them. They came to the website, they downloaded a white paper, they were looking for some answer to some question. We're in sales. We don't get closed deals. We get leads. Sometimes they're early stage. They're trying to recognize their needs and understand what's available to them. Sometimes they're in the middle of the cycle. They're trying to evaluate all their options. Sometimes they're late. They're just taking a look before they make a decision to see if there's anything else out there. When that lead hits your desk, you pick up the phone and you call the lead and you find out where they are in that cycle and you figure out how you can help them. It's the only way to do it. And a friend of mine, Andy Paul, who wrote a book called Zero Time Selling, this is one of the ways that he makes huge transformations in sales organizations. He collects all the leads that they didn't call back and he makes them call 100% of the leads back and automatically increases their revenue. It's the easiest game in the world to play. The lead showed up, they wanted something, call them.
Jeff, let's move on to lead distribution. What is the optimum way for distributing leads so you get the maximum returns?
I think it depends on how your salespeople your sales force is set up, how it's structured, how their target accounts are assigned. If marketing has what they think is a qualified lead, I'd like to give it to an inside salesperson, picks up the phone, talks to the prospect, qualifies, make sure that we're doing exactly the right thing before it goes to sales. And then also, too, you got to just try it, and if it doesn't work, change it.
again, I'm back to taking them as I find them. And you can find them and they have different needs based on where they are.
What are the best tools for automating marketing?
There's plenty of software out there, but I think it all revolves around putting the processes in place, putting the people in place, understanding those buyers, segmenting those buyers, providing content for sales as well.
What about online leads? Do all of those tools manage online leads, or do they need to get HubSpot for that?
Apologies to Mike Volpe, but I don't think everybody needs to buy HubSpot.
Okay.
But I think if you're talking about landing pages and registrations and going into a marketing database to be nurtured, yes, all of those tools create great landing pages and forms and all that good stuff.
So what about creating social and business intelligence and delivering this automatically to your salespeople? Anthony, what do your salespeople use?
A couple things. Hootsuite, we like that. We use a Salesforce automation called Pipeline Deals that allows us to connect directly to a set of white papers and case studies that we can use to just automatically email out and put into a template so that we can follow. But it does allow us to attach something personal from the rep, which I like. And I think all those tools are, and predominantly right now, we're using LinkedIn for a lot of building lead lists.
I want one idea now for how to improve marketing.
If you want to improve your marketing, give your salespeople a nurture toolkit. Give them 12 or 15 tools that they can use, that they can write on, handwrite, or send a note that says, I know where you are in the buying cycle. I know something about you. I'm connected to you on LinkedIn. I've seen you ask these questions in groups. I know this is something you're struggling with or it's important to your industry. And this will help you think about that, or this will help you better understand that, or this will give you some ideas. And arm the salespeople with something that they can use to do some of their own marketing, because even though you can do marketing one-to-many, the one-to-one is the relationship that matters. People still buy from people, and they need those tools in their hands.
Jeff.
Interview the people who bought from you, especially deals you won and you lost, and take them back to the beginning. How did they buy it? How did the decision start? How did they allocate the money? Who do they trust? The more you can understand those insights into the buying process, you're going to make your marketing a lot more effective. You're going to make your salespeople more effective. It's a good idea.
And Eric, I'd like one idea from you on generating leads.
But basically, the thing that I've really been focusing on recently with clients is what I call the 3 C's of an effective lead generation message, which is context, content, and call to action. To kind of give you the 5-second tour. Context is, your headline, your subject line, the title of your video, the title of your blog, setting up context so that people actually pay attention to, will actually open your email or whatever it is that your video, etc. And then content is making sure that your content guides everybody logically from point A to point B, from beginning to end of your message. I see a lot of people who just can't do that effectively, and that they lose tons of leads. I think they lose most leads on the title or the subject line, etc. They lose the second largest amount because their content makes no sense. It's just a data dump. And then the third thing is the call to action. In today's marketplace, for more information, for a free brochure, to have one of our reps call you, blah, blah, doesn't mean anything to anybody. What's in that for me? So you have to create a call to action that creates desire. Same thing, your lead generation is a sale, is what it is at the end of it. If you're doing a close, your call to action is a close. If you think about it like that, I think you'll automatically improve your lead generation.
I'll riff off of Eric's this content. I think that the content needs to meet the buyer's demand at that time. So wherever they are in the buying cycle. So you need different kinds of content. Early buying cycle, I'm beginning to recognize I'm dissatisfied. How do I better understand my needs? Middle of the cycle, I'm trying to evaluate what are the choices that are available to me? How do I differentiate you from other choices? Late in the cycle, how do I have proof? If they show up and they're looking for proof and evidence that you're worth talking to, there's got to be case studies. There's got to be some demonstration that you can create value. And I think you need to think about that whole range if you want the leads. Whenever they show up to your website, if that's what you're thinking about, there needs to be something there that meets them where they are.
Well, thank you, everybody.